Hi, this is Shui with a review of a unique Korean shoe this time. If you recognize this logo, it is a local brand named Pro Specs. Yeah, it looks like a ripoff of a Nike swoosh, but then you can say the same thing about the 86 logo, the Reebok logo, and a lot of logos kind of look like they are ripping off of Nike. But this is actually not a swoosh nor a hockey stick. It's actually supposed to resemble some kind of a bird, yeah, flying with its wing and I guess its tail wing. So yeah, it's a design that many Koreans have grown accustomed to, especially during the 80s and 90s. Uh, Prospex is a brand that some might consider perhaps they're being funded by the government or getting government support because they've been around for such a long time. It's plausible, but not confirmed. But they do manage to get very experimental and bold with their designs and functionality and whatnot, and they manage to stay alive without going bankrupt. This is an interesting homage to a classic shoe. The series were called Helios, as you can tell by the arrow that shows some kind of a circulation. The design, the concept of the cushioning was that these air soles or air capsules weren't just air soles. The original ones they've had an exhaust or an outlet here where when there's compression in this air capsule, the air will be channeled out a little bit. So you'll be hearing like sound every time you're compressing and walking around with it. So yeah, sometimes they've upgraded it in such a way that you will get a level of cushioning on the forefoot because there is also sort of like a capsule system that sucks air in and compresses, and the air goes back here, and you feel this heel chamber getting a little bit more bouncier. At the same time, the excess air will leak out, and you hear that sound again. So there will be air circulation inside the shoe as well because these parts will be connected. So it was an interesting concept, more than just a gimmick. It did provide good air circulation, and it feels cool when you're hearing that sound, very high tech. So that was pretty cool. But the problem with that cushioning system was that because the heel will be compressed quite a lot when you step on them and you have air escaping to let out some steam, they compensated it by having a little bit of a round bulge on top of the cushioning. So when your feet is in contact with the shoe, this round thing will be pressing into your heel a little bit. It's not too much, but it's enough to provide some degree of discomfort and lack of blood circulation in your heel. And at the same time, when you're pressing on them, it gets compressed sometimes a little bit too much, and as you wear them longer, you will feel your heel sinking a little bit too much, and there's not a lot of shock absorption function unless your heel leaves the ground and there's some room to breathe in the air to let the air out again. So there was some control issue there. However, some collegiate athletes were sponsored by the shoe, and they actually had to wear that shoe to win. They went on to win a championship as well in Korea. This is a nice little homage to the past design, but it's not a direct retro or a protro of that. They call it the Helios evolution, but it doesn't have that Helios cushioning. It's just an air capsule, like an air sole. And it's actually not too bad. It actually extends from here all the way until the midfoot. And it's good. The cushioning it actually compresses quite well, and it works like a normal, rather decent air sole. Instead of those hard air soles that are visible but they don't seem to work until they actually puncture out or start losing air, this actually has a good degree of PSI in it to provide stepping comfort and shock absorption. But again, durability could be an issue, and this has not been tested extensively by professional athletes yet. So there's still a lot of question marks and risks involved. What makes the cushioning even better is that Prospex has been experimenting with midsole materials like the compound they could use in this older model of a running shoe. They've actually used different density midsole foams. They call this material the flubber. Good thing they didn't get sued by the Disney movie makers or people who wrote the book, if there was a book about the absent-minded professor. So yeah, it's good. You actually can feel the gradual change in the firmness or the bounciness as you step on it for a smooth ride. But then they screwed it up by not having sufficient level of soft midsole here. And they experimented a lot, and they even tried to give you like exchangeable arch support. They have 3 different levels, so those are some interesting things they tried. Again, they're trying to relive the glory days of the old Helios, except they did not go all the way and resorted to using the, what some would say, I would personally say, has a bit of a flawed cushioning system, which looks cool. It helps with ventilation, but not very healthy in terms of cushioning and support for sports activities like basketball. As for the evolution, as I mentioned, the heel compression the midsole itself. I don't know what kind of foam they use. It's very soft, like a almost lunarlawn soft. So it works with the aerosol nicely. And as I was trying to mention just now, this little foam material is like that flubber material that they've been using in previous models, and it's very soft. So once you wear this and you start testing heel landing or just stepping forward, the comfort is surprisingly good. Again, durability and how it may not provide the right amount of balance for professional athletes, that's not verified yet. So time will tell, I suppose. On the forefoot, they do not have these type of air capsules, but the soft white foam extends all the way up to the forefoot, and it's really soft. I question maybe it's the insole, so I removed the insole, and it turns out the insole is pretty good. It's well perforated on one side, and on top they have another layer of a very soft memory foam. But these insoles, they will slowly mold to the shape of your foot and bottom out in certain areas. So I removed them and tried them on, and yet the cushioning was quite good. Prolonged wear would not result in blisters, good shock absorption, and I was quite surprised. Again, durability is something that we'll need time to check out. The outsole, they have a nice little impact guidance line, which is great, especially when you're moving and when you're having hard landing or hard compression parts, whether in the heel or on the forefoot or your toes. It is good to have these lines to let the shock or the impact kind of dissipate or disperse out. This is a technique that's been heavily implemented in ASICS running shoes, and many other brands have followed suit. The outsole, as you can tell, is similar to the KD, somewhat of a KD6 outsole, KD6 Elite, because KD6 Elite was the reverse of the KD6, which was the photo negative of this design. KD6 Elite was something similar to this. It's not bad. It can be a little bit sensitive to dust, so clean courts. Mildly dusty courts, it still provides decent traction. But I don't know why they had this dumb, bland parts here instead of continuing with this nice traction pattern. It's a little puzzling. These little grooves provide some extra flexibility when you're moving for bending and folding. The upper is sort of like a knit material and very elastic ones on the top, but I wish they would have eliminated this because it's a little bit of annoying to put these shoes on. And for these hooks, it should be not this hook, but this, or this type of hook. It should be this way so that it's easier for you to put your foot in. But it's not horribly difficult. You just need to pull this a little bit, and your foot will go in just fine. They have nice fuse coatings in areas where you need some extra support. The heel cup is not hard. It's not flimsy, but it's a little bit on the soft side, but they clutch your heel nicely. The lace loops are speed lace loops. You could pull them easily from on top, and these little can't really say just little rubber chunk. They actually do a pretty decent job. It's simplicity in design that works. You pull it all the way and just tie a little knot together, so it saves time and it's quite convenient that way. It's decent. Breathability is pretty decent. It doesn't have like extra layers of inner booty. Well, there's a little thin layer of inner booty, but it's not something super thick, so that's not too bad. The outsole itself is pretty wide in terms of its base, so it provides decent anti-inversion support. although I wish they could have had some firmer outriggers here, but it's like a lot of Adidas models, wider base without a prominent outsole. It still provide decent support that way. The fit is a little bit of an issue for me because even though it looks sleek, on the toe box there's a bit of a dead space here. So if you have really thick foot, this is a great shoe for you. It's going to be an amazing fit. But these little parts, they kind of chafe into my pinky toe area for me. So I either go up half a size and risk having a lot of space here, or go true to size and feel a little bit of a pinching here. So if you have really narrow foot, you can go down half a size. If you have normal foot, you should consider half a size down or a normal size. If you're a wide footer, go up half a size. Yeah, but all in all, fits decent in terms of width. The toe box area is a bit of an issue. The helios cushioning, which I mentioned, with the air circulation to provide some degree of impact protection, at the same time breathability and circulating the air from inside of the shoe to the outside to keep cool. They've actually had an Adidas model called Adidas X-Scene. But what we found out through another YouTuber actually did some research and found out that that product, that cushioning system, Adidas headquarters did not know it existed. This was something that a Korean company that was in charge